Welcome to the adventures of Mereak Firmaxe, a character created in 1988 for tabletop role-playing games and later computer games. Thank you for joining me on an adventure today. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit like and subscribe below and leave me a comment. Thank you for watching the adventures of Mereak Firmaxe as we explore the Alpha Sandbox Part 3, Update 2, version 1.2.0.137922. During playing in the sandbox, we will be exploring the various changes made to the game, as well as some bugs and issues that Mereak encountered while playing in the sandbox. So starting on day 3, I came across the Crossroads on the very first level. And the room with the ranger camp is pretty big. It also has some interesting features, including the well that the pebble was dropped down. And I decided to build a base here, but I went all out and fancy. So you notice that I replicated a model with some enhancements from one of my previous video builds. That's interesting. I just noticed the dirt falling from there. Now, when I built this, I was very impressed with the building changes. They were fantastic. Everything was normal color or green. Um, Other than the fact that they took away a dozen or so pieces of granite, which was very disappointing, I immediately started to build because one of the things I had been waiting for is the build system changes. And for those of you that watch my videos, you know I build a lot. Though I encountered a few small bugs. In fact, that sand dirt falling from the top, which doesn't seem to be happening all the time, was one of those changes. Now, I was going to do a video tour later, but everything was so stable because in game I played for over 50 days. And everything went great. I had the materials. I built a very big base with 6 apartments and a big brewery and you know, a full forge and huge storage areas, and I was extremely pleased. Again, other than the fact that they took away some of the granite pieces, that accents that I really loved and enjoyed using, which are left in worlds that already had them open, but they took them out of all new worlds, which I am very unhappy about, if you couldn't tell. And so everything was going fine. I built this area, and you'll see in a minute what unfortunately happened. So I'm captured some raw footage. I was going to do a video just on this, but decided not to worry about it till later. And of course, I was so excited I forgot to record while building it, which was probably a mistake. And so we had large buildings with roofs. The ranger camp you see there to the left. Very nice front entrance. A large bridge with the um, brewery on it. When the foundry and forge is up here. And I had decorated it all. I got a large bridge. This is before I completed the game, so I didn't have the King's Brew. You'll notice that there's this walkway, and so I searched through all my videos and got a couple of captures of the base, which I'm showing you here. So I'm sorry I didn't get to show a full video. Trust me, it was very disappointing because the error I encountered on, I think it was Saturday morning. I got up. I had played Thursday after work, Friday after work. Saturday, I got up. It was already day 50. My sister joined me one of those days. I think it was Friday. This footage is from Friday. And Thursday was release day. You see the big buildings. And I showed her, oh, look at the scaffolding and the nice decorative lattice work that's there. I gave her a tour of the top of the brewery. Again, I was very happy with how all this worked. But anyway, that Saturday morning was about day 50, and I woke up and all of this fell apart in front of my eyes as I loaded. And I tried to reload from a backup. I went back 2 backups, and no matter what I did that morning, it just fell apart for no explained reason. Now, it may be due to that anomaly I just saw, the dust falling, but it happens for a second and it goes away, and like I said, I had nothing but solid color or green when I built. But there must be either a bug or some type of algorithm that runs in the background testing integrity, because it decided after the fact, many days in real life and in the game after the fact, that it was not stable. And when I'm talking it fell down, I'm talking all the buildings here lost at least 25-30% of their structure, just crumbled, which was very disappointing. Now, I did load a few of my older games with very complex builds, and they seemed relatively stable. A few pieces here or there, which I always had, but an issue with, little pieces falling off here and there. Anyway, so now I'll show you what happened. So right on the first level at the Crossroads, right where the marker is, was where I was building. And like I said, it was Saturday morning. I logged in. I heard some crashes as the game was loading with the hammer and the anvil. And I woke up to a disaster. So I picked up a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. But you'll notice things are just floating in the air. The entire side of that building and the upper floors came crumbling down. That building, same thing. You saw those a moment ago. This seems stable. However, the oh yeah, and I put in some nice inlay there, but all of that crumbled for no explained reason, which it should not have. All right, we'll go upstairs. This is the front entry. That's the Crossroads. Now look up and you'll see that there are huge holes, but all of that filled in as at worst green. And there's pillars, and I counted the squares that should not have collapsed. Random pieces of wood, whether it was the lattice or otherwise, just fell down. The entire bridge there fell down. Holes in the floor for no reason. Most of that building stood intact, but the building next door, because it's an adjoined townhouse, just a huge gaping hole. The whole center of that building just collapsed. Now, if I was building it and I was an inexperienced builder and it was orange or red, I totally understand that. But there wasn't a single piece I placed here that wasn't the color of the stone or green, greenish yellow. It's hard to tell sometimes with the lighting. It's heartbreaking. I'll eventually get over it and rebuild this area, but it was not cool, man. Just not cool. And like I said, it was on load. It wasn't even doing anything. It wasn't a couple of pieces. It was literally everything was fine, and then bam, everything fell apart. And so I'm in the middle of another big build now in another room. I don't know, maybe this area is just cursed. Maybe it's because it was too high. Maybe it determined that this was beyond the maximum height I could expect. Anyway, it's very disappointing. So I am reporting this as a bug. So on a lighter note, I was very excited to see that there were more trolls. I mean, there were levels where I encountered troll after troll after troll, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm speeding up through this, but if you noticed in the last troll battle as well as this, I have a new Mithril two-handed battle axe, and that's actually thanks to my buddy Yorn Stones. I think that's how you say Yorn. I hope I said that right. Anyway, he was in need. He had already completed, needed some gold bars, which are a lootable item. And I found them here in the fourth level and the fourth deep. Right here, you see I just got to the fourth level. And so you're going to want to search around, break things, open containers, and so on and so forth. Because those gold bars are used to create the battle axe, which was pretty cool. I gave him some bars. Oh, there's another troll. He gave me an axe, and I have been dying to try this out. And look how effective that was. Bam, 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 done. -1 troll. Um, Little less effective against armored targets, but way cool nonetheless. Really had fun using it. Thank you, Yorn Stones. That's his handle on Discord. Great guy. Appreciate it. All right, so obviously here we are in the middle of the Redeye stronghold. Took out the Redeye stronghold, which I believe was the last of the orc encampments I had to destroy. So no more having to go to the dark crevasses, those deep ravines to get mithril. There is loads of mithril. Look at that load. There are tons of them throughout the third and fourth level. All right, speaking of which, we are actually on the fourth level. That is where you're going to find the Mithril Forge, not down is in campaign mode, but up, and there are shadow orcs there. Of course, you'll find the Khazad Stone as well as uh, the forge itself. And opening the forge is pretty much the same as always. And of course, you need to open the forge to make the spear to slay the dragon. I think I said this before. The stairs that you're able to create now make this much easier than before. So you just quickly open the stairs, and I do all the same prep. I've got this down to a science so I don't get killed playing solo, since I've played so many of these solo. But if you put up the right defenses, have your gear ready, you're fully geared at this point, you should be good to go. And like I said, the changes like that large set of stairs just makes life so much easier. And of course, when you're done, you gotta handle the horde if there is one. There's not always one, I've noticed. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but in this case, there is a horde. All right, we'll finish watching this and then I'll bring you to the next section. So I had to run back real quick and get some materials. And while I was there, I found more spawns. Now I've not been able to get the spawns to stop since the patch in this mode. Alright, so the spear is done. We've got our spear obviously on us. And we go into the final fight with the dragon, which is exactly the same, though I will show it here and fast forward just to demonstrate that it is the same fight. I didn't find any variance at this point in time since the last patch. So once we're done slaying the dragon, my friend online, Durin Deathless, fellow builder and dwarf adventurer, pointed this out. The Balrog's nest entrance, which is there, which kind of surprised me. I'd never seen that before. This game is loaded with lore. So if you're not careful, you can easily miss something. I completed the game, literally the old campaign, 8 times, never found that. Once Durin pointed it out, though, I had to run and get it, and I figure I put it in this for those of you that have stuck with watching it. And thank you, Durin. Now, Aric does show up at the end, and you kind of act like you know him because it's the same interactions as in the normal campaign. And so don't forget to talk to Aric, and he will send you on your way to open the gate. So I had already had a stone at the east gate, so we're just going to proceed there now. And that's on the first level, don't forget. It's I'm still confused about what everything is where, so I have to look a lot. So repairing the bridge is the same as before. It does cost black diamonds. I'll see here in a second on the video how many. I don't remember. I think it's like 50 maybe, or 80. Watch for the graphic anomaly under my, yeah, it's 80 black, 80 adamant, 50 black diamonds. That bug right there where the floor disappears for a moment scared the crap out of me. Also, I have no idea why there's the hunk of junk granite on both ends of the bridge. I would hope that the graphic would change to get rid of those because you kind of got to hop over it, and it's kind of scary. Now, I may have, if you're paying attention, forgotten my Durin's hammer or pickaxe, and I cut out the part where I had to embarrassingly go back. Now, it's the first time I ever found orcs back in here, so that was surprising. But there were only two. I didn't see anything else. Of course, I didn't really hang out and look around, but just went right to the door after killing those two. They must have been trapped on this side, and opened the Dimril gate. So I'm going to talk through real quick as we double speed through the end credits, and I just like to include those. It is a fantastic scene. I always recommend watching it. And of course, I do hit the space bar to speed through the credits at the end, but I do let them play out. I've noticed an anomaly or two if you try to rush it or cancel out of this. I don't recommend that. Not to mention all the fine folks at the free range games and so on who created the game uh, certainly put in the effort, and you should at least once watch the end. So after everything's said and done, Aric does show up, so don't forget to talk to Aric. It's important because he unlocks the final stuff, I believe. So there was a couple of things I needed to do, and one was find the Belegost forge. So I went back to do that real quick. So here's that cut. Oh, I was at the back door.
Look, the flood is receding.
Oh, wait. Why can't I do this? Alrighty. Since I've destroyed all the orc towns, I don't know if they're going to horde up and attack us. But if they do, we will be ready. They are.
In the deep, they are coming.
We're ready.
We got orcs. That's one more for me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about building. And something I've mentioned a couple of times, how disappointed I was that the things removed from the game. Not only did they change the wood paneling color for the decorative wood paneling, but they also got rid of the headers, like the wood trim header, the decorative crown, the plain crown, and the individual pieces of wall. And you used to be able to mix and match those. And I don't know if they did it for stability reasons or they did it because they thought it was confusing, but they replaced them by like the crowned window and the decorative window. But they removed like large open archways, narrow archways, the large archway crown, the large archway base, which in that case you can use the little ones to make big ones, but they have extra joints. They're not as clean. And so I think by removing a bunch of the crowns, they really limited us on our decorative ability. Not to mention people use these items in ways not at the top and bottom of walls. Now, I will say that as I use those over time, they were some of the more unstable pieces. So part of me is thinking that that's probably why they removed them. Now the polished wood floor icon obviously is the wrong one there. It should be updated. That is also a bug. But I can't stress it enough. I'm begging you guys, please put back those things. The way I got around the stability issue is I would put in a plain wall or a window of my choice, but it was a full height, plain window, wall, double window, whatever, and then I would apply the headers and footers and accent pieces. And if you did that, the stability of the wall supported the surrounding structure, and the accent pieces were just that, accent pieces. And they did a fantastic job of being able to produce variety. The problem with your combined pieces is that without that variety, um, they never fit together. You either have to use all of one type or all of the other, and otherwise they look like a mixed mash pile of poo. They're just all a mess. And so I don't want to offend anybody who worked on it, but that choice to take those away was a mistake, in my humble opinion. And I'm begging you to please put it back. Otherwise, the rest of this building stuff is fantastic, and the changes to the build system are great. So as I'm displaying the third and fourth deep maps for my world and the third and fourth level maps of my world, just so you all can look at them, I wanted to go through the release notes and give some comment. So the sandbox world is much better laid out and much more fun. Um, the I think if you combine the two worlds, as I mentioned earlier, by putting in some of the grandeur of the larger areas, obviously cut down so they properly fit, uh, it would be an unbelievable experience. The verticality is great. I didn't mind the 3 level rooms with the 4 possible exits per level for 12 possible exits that we saw in Belegost uh, in the original game. But using the deeps like you did, the crystal descent looking areas was just, and the forgotten descent, nameless descent, I guess is the two. It was just a fantastic idea. Um, anyway, the sandbox mode, huge success in my humble opinion. The new content, the new weapons and armor, still want a pair of pants for the tier 1 armor set and the Aragorn armor. I don't know why we can't have pants, but the rest of the armor and weapons I thought were great. Um, it'd be interesting if the Gatherer's hat did something for you. Like if I wore it, my crops grew faster or something. It didn't seem to do anything. The Wolfskin's hat is just cool. The Mithril battle axe is a serious weapon. I absolutely love that. Of course, I'd like to see those things turn in or be brought into the campaign and the new campaign. I don't know why they're not there. Too many statues, though, folks. You need to cut back on the statues. I think you have over twice as many statues as you need, and they block building. So if you want to leave the statues, fine, but after I repair it, please give me the opportunity to move it. Or you destroy it and then put down a hearth, destroy it, give me a token that I can put one of those back up, and that's all I can do with it. That would be awesome. I would love that. The new small hearth was great. The camp meal table I found is very easy to use and universal. I've used it like an end table in one of my builds that I'm doing. That was all great. Now let's talk about the map. The map improvements for the color, being able to click on it, see what's above and underneath you, and I didn't know about that feature in a previous video. You can click on an icon and see if it's above and below you, and it will gray things. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. The renaming, though, between the map stone and what's at the top of the map stone and what's on the map, and then the areas, it's very confused. And sometimes things like the map stone in the Forgotten Descent or the Nameless Descent is actually labeled Crystal Descent. And so I think we've got to clean those small issues up. Colorblind options are great for those with color blindness. I always like to see that 508 compliance. However, when you merged smaller rooms with various twists and turns into one large block like you have here in the purple section, without putting lines on what goes where, it becomes an unseen maze in the middle of the level. And that I do not like. I would have liked to see the lines, black lines drawn in the middle of that large purple area so I could actually figure out how to navigate inside of it, because the map is not as useful in those instances. The difficulty settings were fantastic. I played with those a lot. I played mostly on hard and custom, though when I build I drop it down to story mode. Didn't seem to help me when it came to the spawns in my base. The spawns in the base thing has definitely got to stop, because that is just annoying to stop building every 30 seconds to kill something. Building restoration I did a little bit of. It is much quicker and easier. I didn't demonstrate it on these videos, and it doesn't take nearly as much stamina to fix a building. So whereas a building used to take me from top to bottom to completely repair, I'd say 30 minutes to an hour depending on the model, now it takes half that time. And I have all the pieces to rebuild it, so thank you all very much for that. It actually made me feel like I was rebuilding Moria. Let's see. It's definitely more stable. You can remove one piece and not have the whole building come down. I haven't knock down a building on my own, though that build problem I talked about at the beginning of this video really needs to be solved, please. Let's see. I haven't destroyed any floors, but I saw it done on the video. But yeah, that's a nice thing. The decorations and furnishings are fantastic. There are a few items missing. I will put in a bug report on that later. I took some screenshots of a couple of pieces, including the wooden ladders. I hate ladders, but I really want the wooden ladders over the rope ladders. Also stackable, the barrels. I'm surprised you guys didn't give us the barrels and those ladders. They seem to already be done. It's kind of disappointing you didn't give us those. But when you got a brewery and beer, and there are models and pieces of models that existed in the old world, I would have liked to see, like the big pot thing and the hanging pots and pans. Those would have been nice. Just as a little plus up. But hey, I'm sure it could come in the future. The combat was great. I liked the feel of the combat. Some of the fights were tougher, um, particularly on hard. Even though I was geared, I'm like, oh, that's a tough fight. So I do like the changes there. The Horde and Siege experience, I found largely the same. Um, of course, being played on hard, maybe that was the whole point. But I thought whatever change you made there, to me, was certainly as good or better than we had it before. The sound and effects, the music, it's okay. I didn't mind the quiet of the deep myself. I'm usually not one um, to do that. However, the poison and starving having a sound effect now has saved me from dying, because the number one killer of Mereak Firmaxe is starving from lack of eating while building. So thank you for that. That was very nice. The shadow fog appearance is better, but I did hit two or three instances of it not appearing um, until I had already gotten hit. Uh, I do. Oh, just in the by and by, the meal table mist thing from the oven to the meal table it's going to. Nice touch, by the way. Whoever thought of that, pure genius. That was fantastic. The lighting still leaves a lot to be desired. I still lose that my helmet light goes in and out, particularly in the dark, and night to dark transitions. I put in less lights this time during my build, but still had issues with the light disappearing constantly. Is very annoying. Game pause, fantastic. In fact, I uninstalled the old mod for that. I couldn't live without it. Uninstalled the old mod by wiping out my game, reinstalling from scratch, making sure that I had a completely clean install. Cannot thank you enough for that. Very easy to use, very intuitive. The number of Muzikan carvings, I never had a problem with those, to be honest. Though in this game, this instance, one of my Muzikan altars did not show up, which was very disappointing. Unless several of us looked, and so we couldn't find it. The smaller batch sizes for the brew is okay. Um, I like the old ones. It was fine. It forced you to farm, and it's like, okay, well, you're going to use the small brew kettle until you get the medium size, and then of course the bigger ones. Um, let's see. All the bug fixes are great. There are a bunch of other bugs that were added, but you guys massively changed how things work, so that's not really surprising. And this is alpha, so I remind people online and on Discord all the time. When someone tells you you're using alpha software, lower your expectations of stability, because that's why they just told you it was alpha. But generally, I was able to play through. There were no major issues. Like I said, one failed to find Muzakon altar and no one could find it, which is odd considering the number of times I help other people find things. The multiplayer experience, I did play a couple hours on 2 different days with my sister. Uh, those things worked fine. I don't use a controller. The dwarf animations and bending in the torso was nice. I think the animation on our dwarf is a lot better, smoother. Let's see. The uprooting a plant, that's handy. Every once in a while I need to do that. Making sure the adamant hammer can repair everything was a nice touch because I used to have to carry around 2 hammers, the Shinor hammer and that one at minimum. Let's see. Campaign worlds now generate better locations for Orc Town. It no longer overlaps with the Elven Quarter. It took me a little while today to help somebody find their Orc Town. It was up. You went down into the mines and then back up on this wooden structure. I didn't fully understand what this line in the release notes meant until I helped. Then I understood it. Again, missing those larger cinematic areas I still think is disappointing. Small bug fixes, visual effects. Um, I noticed a lot less of those. So I definitely look for an alpha release, and I know a lot of people are like, well, we waited a quarter, but there was a lot of changes here. It's a small dev team. They told you it was alpha. I was able to complete the entire run minus a few small issues, uh, and really enjoyed it. And you know what? I looked at starting another one and helped a couple of people in theirs, and it was different enough where I'm like, that is cool. In fact, the only part that was even remotely similar was the 2 gates east and west on the very first level. And so the game, I think the replayability of the game just went up tenfold. Uh, and most of the improvements that were made are really solid. They're going to need a little polish. Um, and I'd like you to consider, please and respectfully, the suggestions and observations and requests I've made in this game so far. And I thank you all very much for your dedication to the art as well as the game and the lore. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would encourage others to buy the game. And if this game comes out on Steam, I'll buy it again. And I've actually bought it for now 3, 4 people, friends of mine, my sister, um, and trying to spread the joy of such a good game for so little costs. Thank you all. So thank you for watching another episode of the Adventures of Mereak Firmaxe as we explored and reviewed the Alpha Sandbox Part 3. I enjoyed playing in the sandbox. The Update 2 version 1.2.0.137.922 was a fantastic addition. I cannot wait to the next patch to see what else we get as we move from alpha to beta and hopefully one day merge the 2 games together as the world continues to expand and this team creates magic for all of us. Thank you.